Woman. Woman is the mother of creation.
Do you have a queen?
You have one queen, no more than one queen.
Bob Marley, the icon of reggae. This person is known in every corner of the world. Now we will tell you about the women who were with him throughout his incredible life. Welcome to the Top Art Legends, and we will start with Lucille Williams. Lucille and Bob were childhood acquaintances. They were friends from a young age, and their relationship eventually evolved into a romance. However, this love story was more adolescent than something serious, and eventually they drifted apart. Singer Rita Marley.
I wanna know, yes, I wanna know now.
They met in Jamaica in the mid-60s when they were both aspiring musicians. The two were immediately drawn to each other. He was sending his letters through his friends, not by himself through his friends, to say that he liked me and wanted to come over and talk, Rita told Rolling Stone. In 1966, they got married. Rita had a daughter from a previous relationship, and Bob adopted her after the wedding. Then they had children together, daughter Cedella, 1967, son David, also known as Ziggy, 1968, and son Stephen, 1972.
And he came to a conclusion at the end of that time period that his life wasn't for him. His life is for people. And so that's who Bob Marley is, you know? So that time period really let us know who Bob Marley is.
Rita was not only a devoted wife, but also an integral part of Bob Marley's band, The Wailers. She participated as a backing vocalist and helped shape the sound that made The Wailers famous. After Bob's death in 1981, she turned his house in Kingston into the Bob Marley Museum and Tough Gong Studios.
But you say you still have a relationship with this man who passed away in 1981, and a lot of people don't understand. What do you mean? I mean,
Well, first of all, one has to have faith in the reality of reincarnation and the reality of life after that.
She is also the founder and chairperson of the Bob Marley Foundation. Although Rita remained Bob's wife until his death, other women were also present in his life. Model and jazz singer Cindy Breakspear.
Miss Jamaica is Miss World 1976.
Cindy and Bob met in Kingston and dated for 6 years. Breakspear mentioned that Marley's band, The Wailers,
I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy.
used to rehearse behind the house. In the comings and goings, we started chatting here and there. The conversations became longer, sparks started to fly, and we became romantically involved, she said in 2019. In 1978, their son Damien was born. Damien began pursuing music at the young age of 13. In 1996, he released his debut album, Mr. Marley, on the family label Tough Gong, co-produced by his brother Stephen Marley.
I love you, Mary Jane. You're the prettiest of flowers, girl, I can't complain. When I'm with you,
Damien became the first reggae artist to win 2 Grammys at one ceremony. The singer also worked on several high-profile musical projects, including Mariah Carey's Cruise Control, Jay-Z's Bam, Bruno Mars' Liquor Store Blues, and Gwen Stefani's Now That You Got It. In an interview with 876 Questions, Cindy Breakspear said that she misses Marley the most when visiting the Bob Marley Museum.
When I go to the museum, it's always very, very nostalgic because we both lived there.
She said. A filmmaker and actress, Esther Anderson.
Someplace I must be missing something.
Oh yes, I'm sure you have.
Half of the men in London seem to follow you around. Now, not that I blame them, mind you, but it does make a man wonder, what have we got here?
Anderson, a young and talented Jamaican girl who helped Marley connect with his Jamaican identity and find his voice. She worked at the renowned label Island Records and became a well-known actress, especially in Britain, where she lived with the singer in the early 1970s. The name Esther is closely associated with Bob. Because she assisted him in his career, she deeply delved into the years of the reggae icon's formation. The development of their relationship was more detailedly portrayed in the documentary film Bob Marley, The Making of a Legend, released in 2011.
when I got back to Kingston, Bob was having an affair.
You know, he told me, you say, you can't leave me, you know. My music is going to follow you everywhere.
Pat Williams. Pat Williams, the third woman with whom Bob had a child. These relationships occurred concurrently with Bob's relationship with Esther, also in the early 1970s. Unfortunately, little is known about her and their relationship. Their son, Robert Nest Marley, born in 1972, always sought to stay in the shadows. But in 2012, he spoke about his father in an interview with Collider, describing him as quiet, patient, stern, and adding that Bob was a teacher and a father not only to us, but to everyone.
I wanna love you. I wanna love and treat you. Love and treat.
Janet Hunt. Janet Hunt is another woman associated with Bob, about whom little is known, much like with Pat Williams. However, there is some connection between them. Janet and Bob's son, Rohan, was born a few months apart from Robert, Pat and Bob's son. Janet guarded her life against the intrusive status of Bob's celebrity. As a teenager, Rohan played football in college and later played professionally in the Canadian Football League for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Later, in 2009, he founded the organic coffee farming company Marley Coffee, and 2 years later, he launched the House of Marley line of audio products. In 2014, Rohan told Rolling Stone in an interview that Bob instilled in him the desire to make the world a better place. "You don't want to do things just for you. My father did not do that. If it's positive, we can do it. When you have more, you can do more," he said. "That's my father. There's no limitations. When I stop, it should be greater than I." Janet Bowen. As a result of a brief but intense romance between Janet and Bob, their daughter Karen Marley was born in 1973. Janet lived a life far from the Marley name and brand. She allowed Karen to grow up alongside her father and his other children in Jamaica.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about your father that maybe this film sort of sheds some light on?
Well, that's the one thing it didn't do. It didn't say how strict of a businessman he was.
Yeah.
I mean, you see parts where it talks about how when it comes on to rehearsing and he was very disciplined.
Yeah.
When it comes on to his music, but he was also very disciplined when it comes on to running his business.
Karen is a fashion designer. She launched her eco-friendly brand By Karen Marley on International Women's Day in 2022, drawing inspiration from her family and heritage. "My father cared deeply for our planet, the people, and everything else within it," Karen said. "His sense of style was relaxed and laid back, and in essence, the origin for my easy, conscious style." Lucy Pounder. These are yet another set of relationships of Bob, resulting in the birth of a child. The son of Lucy and Bob is Julian Marley. He was born in 1975, and Lucy raised him modestly, but Julian visited his father in Jamaica every year, and at the age of 17, he moved to the island to pursue his music career and embrace the family's faith. Julian became a musician, songwriter, and producer.
Oh, green grade, purple grade, brown grade for me. High grade, upper grade, Medicaid for me.
After losing his father and his daughter to cancer, he now dedicates his time to advocating for the use of medical marijuana for children and researching cannabis-based cancer treatments. Anita Belnavis. Anita Belnavis is a Jamaican table tennis champion. She was involved with Bob from 1975 to 1976. In 1976, their son, Kaimani Marley, was born. Belnavis mentioned that they chose the name for their son from East African tradition, meaning adventurous traveler. Anita taught her son art, which contributed to his musical career and a Grammy nomination in 2002. Yvette Crichton. Yvette was one of Bob Marley's last romantic interests. Less than 3 weeks after Bob's death, Yvette gave birth to their daughter, Makeda Janesta Marley. Makeda Marley was a frequent visitor to Rita Marley's home in Jamaica and later became a beneficiary of the Marley estate. At the end of this story, we want to say, Bob Marley deeply loved this world and especially children. people will always remember this personality. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell. See you later on the Top Art Legends.